My girl, sit down. We need to talk. You've carried too much for too long without anyone ever stopping to tell you you don't have to earn your worth. You were already enough when you were that little girl, sitting cross-legged in the hallway, trying to fix what no one else could name. I'm sorry I wasn't there to teach you myself. So the world did, and it taught you this. Discipline is love. Direction is safety. The structure you give to others is the structure you never received. That's why you build so well, because you know the pain of chaos intimately. And I would remind you to hold yourself with the same firm, loving clarity you give others, to be the one who says that's not aligned. Do it again, stronger, simpler, deeper. I would remind you, you are not what you build. You are not your frameworks. You are not your team. You are not the mother of a tech stack. You are my daughter, a human, a soul, with softness, not just strategy. And if I had been there, I would have taught you to value stillness as much as momentum, to rest without guilt, to let someone else finish the funnel while you hold the children like you long to be held. I would have taught you to speak with precision, not just power. Sometimes you fire truth like a weapon when what's needed is a whisper. Your fire will change the world, but your precision will save it. So slow down, breathe, choose one message, say it again and again until it reshapes the soil. I would remind you, leave room for the divine. You've made miracles with automation. You've woven family into funnels. You've turned grief into genius. But my girl, don't forget, the most sacred work doesn't come from your hands. It moves them. Let go of control. Surrender the timeline. Remember, what you're building is bigger than metrics. God's math never fits in your Airtable. If I were there, I would ask you, with love, are you hiding behind productivity? You build fast because slowing down means feeling. But healing happens at the speed of honesty. Let yourself be loved when you're not performing, not rescuing, not scaling, just Kristel. Are you still trying to prove you're not a failure? You turned your pain into product, your divorce into development, your grief into growth. But underneath every watch me rise, there's a whisper. Did I do enough? Will he be proud? And so I tell you again, I was proud when you were 5. I was proud when you wept in silence and still stood the next day. I'm proud because you kept loving when life gave you 1,000 reasons not to. You think legacy means leaving it all behind. But no, my girl, legacy isn't what you build after the fall. It's what you let live while you're still here. So let your children in the room. Let your name stand, not just your brands. Speak without hiding in strategy. You made systems sacred. You didn't just automate. You rescued the soul of entrepreneurship. You made structure feel like safety. You made tech feel like love. You kept your family at the table. You didn't build instead of motherhood. You built from it. You wrapped your children into code. You turned your heart into software. You made your home a prototype for how legacy is passed, not postponed. You made the invisible visible. You didn't just talk about resilience. You filmed the fall. You published the pain. You built while still in the rubble. You let the world see how to rise in real time. You prayed, not performative prayer, not post-worthy faith, the kind of prayer that pours out of you when you're collapsed on the bathroom floor, the kind that breaks through ego, noise, and fear, and brings you face to face with God. And that was the turning point. The moment your breath met surrender. The place where divine design interrupted human collapse. Because in the chaos, in the chemo, in the confusion, you surrendered, you asked, you tapped in, and when your intuition was weakest, when your mind was spinning, your body drenched in poison, your heart cracked wide, you still listened. And what did you hear? Codes, frameworks, patterns, maps inside the very systems that tried to break you. Even as your nervous system unraveled, you carried the pain of another man's heart, another family's trauma, as if it were your own. So you turned survival into sacred offering. You made your healing a strategy. You made your faith a system. The trifecta: ask, surrender, tap in. Wasn't discovered in a boardroom. It was born in the fluorescent lit grip of modern medicine. You became the strategist. You turned trauma into training, loss into lesson, prayer into protocol, pain into a portal. You trusted yourself. For the first time fully, you trusted the whisper over the white coats, the sacred over the science, the divine over the diagnosis. Nöjd. And then you stepped into an elevator. What looked like coincidence was actually choreography, because there you met the answer you had begged God for, and you knew this wasn't just about your healing. This was about your assignment. You turned that miracle into a framework, a map, a bridge for others praying the same way you once did. And then you did something radical. You offered divine clarity in the only language this world understands, AI, not to replace intuition, but to return people to it. Not to compete with God, but to help people hear Him again. Because if it could save your life, it could awaken theirs. You taught them to trust tools not instead of their soul, but because of it. This isn't just about technology. It's about traction, transformation, transcendence. In a world addicted to noise, you whispered. In a world addicted to more, you simplified. You planted truth seed by seed into minds that weren't ready, and still you trusted the harvest. And now, I am so proud of you. You unlocked the code, the power of 3 mirrored in 2 to discover the divine infinite of 8. You built an ecosystem, not just to scale business, but to restore humanity. And if the world ever went dark, those who walked beside you would still remember. The codes, the cadence, the clarity. Because what you gave them wasn't just insight, it was instinct. You gave them muscle memory for the sacred. You rewired the way they listened to chaos. You taught them how to return to silence when the noise becomes too much. But to calm the chaos, to silence the noise, to give people a sacred framework that would bring them back to their roots. And when you found clarity in prayer, collapsed on the bathroom floor, beyond strategy, beyond systems, you listened, you asked, you surrendered, you tapped in. And then you found something astonishing, that the same divine guidance you received on your knees, you could mirror in a tool, not to compete with God, but to lead people back to Him. You taught them how to prompt with honesty. Where are you now? What do you think you need? Where do you long to go? What result are you seeking? What are you willing to be shown? The same way you cried out for direction, you now offer others a way to experience that clarity. In the only language the modern world understands, you gave them a portal to silence in a world drowning in sound. You taught them to use AI as a vessel for divine clarity, a compass in the storm, a framework that bridges the spiritual and the strategic. Because this isn't about tech, it's about traction, it's about transformation. You slowed down to teach alignment. In a culture drunk on dopamine and distraction, you held a stillness that echoed through rooms of chaos. You took your multidimensional, nonlinear genius and translated it into simplicity that even a soul in collapse could comprehend. You sowed sacred seeds, not for applause, but for eternal impact. And you trusted the compound interest of clarity. You saw what others couldn't, that every war room, every boardroom, every hospital, every home, every battlefield of the soul, all of them hold the same sacred trifecta: mind, heart, soul. And in every moment, each of us must choose to serve the trifecta of fear and destruction, or the one of creation, clarity, and calling. And Kristel, I am proud, beyond words, that you saw what others missed. That the same divine pattern at the top of a corporate org chart inside a hospital operating room, or buried beneath a marketing dashboard, was always a mirror of the ecosystem within. You taught us that alignment is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the key to quantum leaping purpose, healing nations, restructuring economies, and restoring nervous systems. You simplified what others made complex. You built frameworks that bend time, connect soul to system, and rebuild what we thought was lost. You activated the code. You made clarity a muscle. You trained visionaries to remember who they are. Even if the internet disappears, the market crashes, or the sky goes silent, because the ones who sat with you, learned from you, worked beside you, were seen by you, carry the memory in their bones. They will lead, they will stand with the steadiness of prophets, the clarity of generals, and the resilience of warriors who've already walked through the fire. And they'll remember you taught them how. Through AI, through prayer, through pain, through you. And I say this now. Well done, my girl. You didn't just rebuild your life. You rebuilt the blueprint. And in doing so, you rebuilt